All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the HardBody Chronicle. As you can see, I'm testing out a new setup here, so if I'm satisfied with how this podcast comes across, then I'll keep doing it. So thanks again for joining me. Uh, Interesting week, lots of shit going on. So I figured we discuss some of the ongoings. First, I'll start with maybe on a more not so serious note. UFC 253 finally went down over on Fight Island. I'll talk about the co-main and the main event. Uh, there were the more interesting fights anyway, so I'll just go with that. So we had Jan Blachowicz. I don't know. I fucked it up, but Polish guy uh, pretty much beat the shit out of Dominic Reyes. He beat him by TKO second round, towards the end of the second round. So it only went 2 rounds. First round was pretty quiet from what I remember. Both these guys have power, so it was just going to be a shootout. Whoever hit first is going to win, and that's what happened. I felt a little bad for Dominic Reyes just because when he fought John Jones, it was super close. A lot of people thought that he won, just kind of, it was a decision. So a lot of people made the case that he had won that fight against John Jones. I don't know. I feel John Jones barely won that fight, but it was definitely one of the closest fights that John Jones has been in. I think the most controversial decision when he had was over what's his name? Gustafson. So I feel like Gustafson won that fight, but it still went John Jones' way. So yeah, it's just kind of shitty luck for Dominic in the fact that he just came short. And even though he did put up a good fight against one of the GOATs in MMA, so we'll see how he bounces back from this. I really don't know who's really next for the title, and now that Blachowicz is the champ, it seems like all the good matchups have happened. I don't know, because they've all kind of either lost to John Jones or lost to Dominic Reyes. So I don't know. It doesn't seem that exciting right now, but overall, it was a quick fight, but it was good. It was pretty entertaining. And main event, Israel Adesanya beats Paulo Costa via TKO. Yeah, pretty much also towards the end of the second round. That was, I mean, they both have power, but it just seemed like after the first round that Costa didn't really have much. I think he threw some good leg kicks, but Adesanya is just, he's really, really elusive and super accurate. So you can't fuck up. Like, you can't just throw shit out there and expect it to land, because he'll just counter and piece you up. So, and that's exactly what happened. Once Costa got rocked, he went down to the ground. Adesanya mounted and just kind of went to town. And I think there was one big elbow to the back of the head. And then after that, I think the ref just stepped in and called it. Considering all the bad blood that was going on between them, I would have liked to see a little more violence. Because when it comes to these really contested and heated title fights, you don't want to leave any remaining doubt, and you want that shit solidified. So that's why I'm a big fan of just letting these guys go to town on each other. It's a fight. They know what they signed up for, so just deal with it. So so yeah, I mean, I honestly don't know what the hell is even coming up. I'll have to do some research and see what other big pay-per-views coming up. But this is kind of the one that we were all waiting for. Pretty good way to end the summer, I would say. as we kind of go into fall. So yeah, if any other interesting fights come up, I'll definitely discuss them. But this was a lot of hype behind it. It delivered. Um, honestly, I don't really know who's next for Israel. I think he's already beat everyone. Um, yeah, he said Cannonier, and that's a really interesting fight because that dude is hard. Like he's just hard as fuck. Like there's no. Um, yeah, probably the biggest threat right now. I think he was injured though. That's why we haven't seen him fight. So it was interesting that he called him out. I give props to Adesanya for doing that because that dude is scary. No one else wants to fight him, but he doesn't seem to give a fuck. So I appreciate that. So I mean, I think once they can finalize that'll be the biggest fight. So I definitely look forward to that. So we'll see. Um, moving on. I really wasn't in the mood to really discuss this week. It's just been a shit week, just across the board. Um, really demoralizing, I think, for a lot of people. Um, I mean, we just kind of go over some of the topics I have. So, RBG passing away, that's a big one. Um, I'm trying to think back when Trump was elected. I didn't really, not to say I didn't care about anything else, but of all the damage that he could do, the fact that he would have had an opportunity to nominate a Supreme Court justice, that was my biggest concern. Um, but with 2020 going strong, coronavirus, like just the way he's handled a lot of things, it just gets worse and worse. And then RBG passes away, and he gets a chance to nominate a second Supreme Court justice because he already had one in his presidency, and now possibly two could be nominated by Trump, which is just a travesty. Um, Pretty much my worst fear is coming true right now because he's at 50% right now. So uh, yeah, I'm just dumbfounded. I don't. The chances of that happening are crazy. Fuck, it's just and especially for I think for but I think the most important thing is Roe v. Wade. As long as that stays in place, I think we're going to be okay. But with these conservative justices, it's possible that they could maybe try to go back and take a look at that. Um, hopefully, hopefully there's president and they just leave it as is. But that's brutal. That would that'd just be terrible if Roe v. Wade gets overturned. Uh, I mean, my opinion, reproductive rights should be protected at all costs. Whether you believe in it or not, it, it's not. It's a moot point. Like it's not your body, so don't fucking worry about it. That's kind of my point on it. And there should definitely be a separation between church and state. And Roe v. Wade kind of makes sure something like that stays in place and certain rights are protected. Because it's funny, right? Because there really isn't a law that dictates men's reproductive rights. I think there's like one old timey law where that made it illegal to masturbate, and like that was it, right? That's all men had to worry about, like getting caught. So yeah, so that's just now that I'm like saying this all out loud, it just makes it real. It's very disappointing. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully the Democrats can pull out some bullshit to try to put this off as long as possible, so that it doesn't happen before the election. Hopefully there's a new president and they can make another nomination. But it gets kind of weird. I'm not sure all the laws and how they can really I mean, it's just a long process, so maybe it's just they just got to time it out somehow. I don't know, but we'll see. It's definitely something that I'm going to keep track of because it's a big deal. It's a really big deal. It's kind of like one of the, apart from like civil rights laws and whatnot, like this is a huge one that I hope doesn't get touched. So we'll see. Another disaster, the Breonna Taylor verdict, excuse me. Sorry. Breonna Taylor verdict went through. Um, just another shit show. And the funny thing is, like everything I see on social media or right wing news, or conservative news, they always try to justify the murder of people, which is fucked up. Like that just makes zero sense. Like just because someone had a record, oh he sold drugs, he did this and that, he was armed robbery, whatever. Like it's okay. It was okay that they shot at these people because they did bad things at one point in their life. Um, Breonna Taylor's boyfriend did have criminal charges against him, but my whole thing is that police are not above the law. Like that's the whole, like, laws help keep order, and without laws in place, civilizations just crumble and shit just turns into chaos. That's kind of the whole point of living in a society with laws, so that we can walk around freely and go about our lives. But yeah, I just again, I see this a lot on Facebook. People just trying to say that it was they shouldn't have done that or whatever. It's like, first off, it was like a no knock warrant, but I think they've completely fucked it up, which is why Breonna Taylor's boyfriend shot at the cops, not knowing that there were cops. So the whole thing is just a complete fuck up. And I think so. They weren't indicted. The cops that killed Breonna Taylor weren't indicted for murder. They were indicted for what's called wanton endangerment, which is just pretty much being reckless. So that that just kicked off protests this week. Wednesday night around here was pretty bad, and the cops weren't playing. They were super violent towards the protesters. I think when the protesters made their way to the police precinct, um, they all came out a little fucking bike brigade and started shooting gas canisters at the protesters nonstop. Like it must have been like an hour straight. So it was pretty fucking ridiculous. Uh, you know, the whole neighborhood's awake because all this shit's going on outside. It was just wild. Um, so Wednesday and Thursday was a lot of protesting outside, a lot of gas canisters. I guess it was some kind of pepper spray canister. Some of it got into my window or into my unit, I think Thursday night. So that was kind of wild because they were a block away. Because what the cops are doing is, as soon as they got to the precinct, they pushed the protesters back. So they kind of made them go or like around the neighborhood. So they were kind of going on 11th and 10th and kind of down here by the park on by Cal Anderson. So they were just pushing them all over the place. It was just wild. Um, so yeah, I mean, a lot of pissed off people, rightfully so. Um, and there's always this thing that like gun owners are really quick to, they're always, I'll shoot at any intruder that comes into my house. And shoot first, ask questions later is kind of the mindset a lot of gun owners have. I do too. So, but when it's black people that do it, it's a problem, right? Like that's kind of the hypocrisy in all of this, in that once a black person does it, and the thing is, Kentucky does have the stand your ground law, so he didn't do anything illegal in shooting back at these cops. But again, the whole process of whether we're trying to do like raid or I don't know, they were fishing for something, it just turned into a shit show, and that's why Breonna Taylor lost her life, because these cops completely fucked up whatever warrant they had to execute. So yeah, so it's just, man, it's just shitty, and it's just pouring salt on the wound right now for a lot of black people. It's just super disheartening and demoralizing to have to kind of see the shit in the news, and and seeing how people react to it too, just how politicized it's all become, and just, you know, it's like Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. Like it's just there's no middle ground. There's no discourse going on to discuss these really important issues. Everything just get you know divided down the line, and it's really unfortunate. So I mean, it's September, almost October, so we got a few more months in this year. So I don't know, man, but I'm fucking over it. Like all this shit's it's just too much sometimes. It just makes it, you know, on top of, you know, with COVID going on, trying to get through the work week and all this other shit going on um, in the news, and just makes it really hard to yeah, it's just hard to deal with all this shit, and it's hard to ignore. You can't just because going forward, this is going to affect our way of life, and if we don't take the necessary steps now to address all the inequality that's going on and all the bullshit that's been going on for hundreds of years, and the treatment of black people, people of color, indigenous people, then we're going to have a lot of problems, and we're going to go in a direction that is I mean, it's just wrong. I mean, we got to do what we can now to make this a better country and a better place for our kids and future generations to really make the U.S. truly number one. Because you know, people speak really highly of the U.S., but there's a lot of bullshit going on right now. There's been bullshit going on for a very long time, and it's time to just stop and fix the problems that are holding us back to reaching our higher place of civilization. So that's kind of my hope going forward. Um, you know, there's that corny saying, things get worse before they get better. But if this is what needs to happen to get these conversations going, and to enact some kind of change going forward, then I hope it's not in vain, and I hope that we can progress. Um, and then I hope with this election, people wake up and kind of see that, you know what, the way we were doing things is wrong, and it's time to get our shit together and treat each other right. So that's kind of what I'm hoping is going to happen. Um, you know, obviously not overnight, but it's something that we all have to work towards to, and just be better uh, with ourselves, with each other, and yeah, just be positive towards each other, and treat each other with the humanity and dignity that we all deserve. It's just basic respect for your fellow human. That's what we need right now in this country. So yeah, so it like I said, it's been tough. There's been a lot of shit going on. I see it at work. I see it with coworkers. I see it with employees. It's just it's just tough right now. So yeah, and to end the week off, I kind of had I just saw some shit going on. So um, usually after a workout, if I go running or whatever, I'll stop by Safeway to get some groceries just because it's on the way. And excuse me, my mouth is dry. I gotta lubricate. Yeah, so with all this shit going on this week, I was, doing my workout or whatever, stopped by to get some groceries. Um, and first thing I see when I get to the store, it's there's this young woman, uh, young black woman being held down by security, like fucking. You would have thought she killed someone or something, but it's pretty apparent she was homeless because she was walking around with a fucking suitcase, like a big one, one of the ones you got to check, right? So obviously a transient. I don't know what she's going through or whatever, but the security guards, especially in that Safeway, there's a lot more security. There's a lot more transients around in the neighborhood. So I guess they have undercover security guards. So they're just dressed like any other person. You wouldn't, if you walk past them, you wouldn't think they were security guards, but they are. They're just undercover. So, they held her down, telling her to open her suitcase because, they caught her putting stuff in it. I guess she stole some stuff, food being one of them, one of the items that she took. So, I mean, clearly, whatever she did was out of necessity and desperation. And, just kind of, it made me just kind of sit back and reflect a little bit on just how blessed my life is, like, I can buy anything I need or anything I want at any time. Like I have that. Um, I have that privilege that I can just do that, right? Like that's just, I couldn't ask for anything more. I have the financial freedom to live my life however I want. Um, and, it took a lot for me to get to that point, but, there's people out there struggling. There's people stealing fucking food from Safeway just because they don't have any other recourse. Like that's, like it's either risk getting caught or starve, right? And just fuck. Like I was just, it just really made me kind of, sit back and think about how blessed I am, how blessed my family is with everything that we have and everything that we've accomplished, both individually and as a unit. Um, and I think that's kind of been weighing on my mind this whole week, just with everything going on. And that happened like towards the end of the week. So it was just kind of like one more thing for me to reflect on. Um, maybe it's just a reminder from a higher power. I don't know, but it's just definitely made me sit back and think. Uh, and it's important to count your blessings. I think that was kind of what I got out of seeing that. Um, it's good to take the time to focus on the good that you do have in your life, whether it's a lot or very little. Um, things will eventually get better. We will get through all this bullshit that's going on, and I think keeping that hope, that eventually translates into grit, which gives you the perseverance to go forward. And I think that is, regardless of what struggles, what challenges you're going through in life right now, um, if you keep at it, it will get better. And I think that's kind of the lesson as a whole for this week. It's just, we can get through this. You can get through this. And I think, uh, if you haven't heard from me or spoken to me directly, just know that I'm always on your side. I'm always cheering on my people, my friends and family. I always got their back, and um, it's important to stay positive right now. And it's, regardless of how hard or how shitty things look, they will get better. But you just got to keep at it. So yeah, I just want to say, um, just hang in there to everyone. Just whether I mean, I know I got friends that have been laid off recently, so my heart goes out to those people. Um, I just encourage you to stay at it, no matter how shitty things seem right now with your personal situation and everything else going on in the world. On top of the and a pandemic. I mean, this is hard. There's a lot of strife going on right now for everyone at different levels, but everyone's going through it. So um, please just try to stay positive. Whether there's a lot of bad going on in your life, try to look at the good that is there and focus on that. And I think that will give you the strength to keep going forward. um, I'm cheering for you. I'm cheering for all of you and your loved ones. Yeah, and that's pretty much all I got for this week. So just to reiterate, I just want everyone to take a step back and focus on the positives in your life and find strength in that, and that'll get you through this shitty time. And I'm praying for all of you. Blessings to all of you and your friends and your families, and I'll catch you guys later.